Hi, my name is Nessa Vargas, and in this video, I will be sharing 4 tips to get some perspective and finally let go of comparison. So, in this video, I will be outlining first how comparison negatively affected me, and then I will go ahead and list off and explain each of my tips. Okay, so here's my story. About 2 years ago, I was deep in depression. And one of the reasons I was deep in depression was because I also had psychosis at the same time. So I had depression and I had psychosis, and the psychosis made me feel awful, which fed the depression, and it was just this vicious cycle. So at this lowest point where I was unemployed, stuck at home, no money, no contact with my friends or the outside world, I was going online and seeing what everybody was up to. I know you've been there. And when you do that, even if you're just like, hey, let me check out what so and so is doing, or what this person's doing, or that person's doing, what you end up doing is, first of all, it's not a quick check-in. You're on there for a while. And second of all, you can't help but compare where you're at to where they're at. And it's regardless of who you are, you're never, your conclusion is you're never where you're supposed to be. You always think that you should be further along. Maybe you're doing great. This is not you. That is fantastic. But everyone at some point has felt this way. So, knowing that, I've been able to move past that at this point, and I want to go ahead and share my 4 tips as to how I was able to accomplish this. Tip number 1: stop going on social media. Okay, you've heard that one before, or if you haven't, you're shocked. You're like, what? I can't do that. Here's the thing, that is probably the biggest game changer for me. So here's the thing, like I already said, you go on social media, you go down this hole, you feel like crap. If you end up comparing yourself to others and you feel like crap and you don't want to feel that way anymore, you kind of have to stop and think, okay, how did I get here? How did I get to this crappy feeling of thinking I'm not good enough and I'm not where I'm supposed to be? And you look back, okay, well, I compared myself to others. Even though I was feeling pretty great and awesome and on top of the world, when I compared myself to others, well, how did I get there to the comparison in the first place? Well, I decided to go on social media. So if I'm feeling like crap because I'm comparing myself to others, and I'm comparing myself to others when I go on social media, then maybe I should cut out social media. So just do it. Cut it out completely. That's what I've done. I go on there still every once in a while. Like, I haven't deleted them from my phone. I mean, really, I just have Instagram. But even when I go on there, even if I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go in real quick, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time, I find that even when I spend a little bit of time, I start the comparison and I start feeling crappy. So it just makes sense to just cut it off or avoid it as much as humanly possible. Okay, tip number 2: journaling. Personally, I love journaling. I love putting pen to paper It is an awesome exercise feeling. I love journaling for two main reasons. Reason number one, it is an amazing way to just get out all of the negative emotions and thought that are inside me. I feel so much lighter when I do this. So that's why I highly recommend it. Reason number two is that a lot of times we have these negative thoughts and we have this dialogue and this tape or whatever you want to call it going on inside of you. So it's when you get all the negative feelings out and all the negative thoughts out, you actually can physically see them, and then you see how ridiculous our brain is. Our brain is constantly working against us. So now you can physically see it when you have those negative thoughts on paper and you can read them back. So once you see that, right? Once we see the problem of just the negative tape going on in our head, we can choose to have more positive thoughts. So once I have the negative thoughts on paper, I'm like, okay, those were my negative thoughts. Now I'm gonna have a tape, positive thoughts going on in my mind. I'm going to rewrite the story. So I was comparing myself, like, you suck, you should be further along, there's so much further ahead, they own property, I don't own that. So now I'm just like, let me focus on what I'm doing, right? Okay, they may be further ahead, they might may look on paper like they're doing so much better than I am, but hey, I am doing great. These are the awesome things that I am doing that 2 seconds ago I was so proud of. So I have, and just start listing off everything that you've done lately, everything that you have accomplished that you should be proud of. And once you change the script, it's a very, very powerful thing. The journaling is powerful because one, it cements better in your brain, and two, it is really, really powerful. So sure, you can list them, but if you go back to your journal entry and actually reread what you listed, it makes you feel really good. So I highly, highly recommend it. Tip number 3 is celebrate wins, even the small ones. Okay, so this goes back a little bit to what I was saying. You want to list everything you're accomplished, even the super small things. So, personally, like I said, 2 years ago, I had depression. I was probably at my lowest point. And it was to the point, my depression was so severe that I wasn't functioning. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I wasn't living in every sense of the word. And things really turned around once I was able to get in front of a therapist and she asked me how my day was. And basically, I wasn't getting out of bed. I wasn't eating. I wasn't living. So then, immediately I wanted to jump in, get better, let's have a breakthrough, let's just get out of this. And, she said to slow down. It doesn't work that way. We basically have to take this one day at a time. And immediately the goal was just, okay, you're not functioning, you're not getting out of bed, you're neglecting basic hygiene, you're not eating. So what we need to do is to say, hey, today, this week, all you're focusing on is getting out of bed, making yourself breakfast or getting something to eat, brushing your teeth, showering. And that is a win. If you can do those small things, that is a win. I can have really high standards for myself. So it seemed absolutely ridiculous that was what she wanted me to set as a goal. But the thing is, I just spent a year not being able to accomplish those small things. So even though it was small, even though it was the basic things that most adults do to function in the world, I had to learn to celebrate even the super small things that we take for granted. And the thing is, once you give yourself some grace, and it's like, hey, I have depression. This is hard. Celebrate the fact that you're doing XYZ, these super simple things. Even if you don't have depression, sometimes we can be really hard on ourselves. But the thing is, as long as we are making steps in the right direction, we are making progress, however small. Even if we're only inching our way forward, we need to celebrate that progress and those wins all the time, and we will feel better, and we can hopefully stop comparing ourselves to other. You are on your own journey, and you need to focus on your successes and not compare how you're doing, or not look at how you're doing compared to others. Okay, guys, so those were my 3 tips. I hope they were helpful, even if just a little bit. I make these videos for you. Yes, you, right there on the screen, watching right now. So please, I would really love to hear from you. And that's it. So I'll go ahead and post another video next week. So I'll see you on the next one.